Hardy,
Hardy,
hello.
hello.
My name is Dylan.
My name is Nicole-Antionette. And this is
And
the Here's
this
How
is Hear Us Out
Podcast.
Podcast. Oof, we really
We were
all
out of
right. Well,
sync for that one.
we're
It's
still gonna
okay.
go for that. We're still going. All right.
That's a full
So
send.
what is up with you, Nicole-Antionette?
Well, I'm feeling goofy today. I already mentioned it earlier when we were just chatting up a storm. I am feeling so goofy today. Oh no.
Great energy, yes.
Yes, I'm feeling like a little goofball. I don't know when it is. But yeah, I'm excited. My second article just got published today. It's Keeping Up with the Cubanos. Censorship and social justice in Cuba or something like that. I don't remember what I titled it. My own article. Wow, look at me go. On the Latin Babbler Show website. And I'm so excited about that. A whole celebo read it, and I'm just like over the moon about that. Not to pop off or anything, but like, yeah. And then that's kind of all that's going on with me. I went on a hike earlier today, so I was tired earlier, but now I'm like, the energy's back. That's pretty much it. Yeah. What's up with you though?
That sounds like a really great day. I mean, if we're just going to talk about this day in general, right?
Yeah.
What did I do? Not something any exciting, just went to the gym, prepared for this podcast, nothing exciting. But in general, no, I'm feeling good, doing well in my internship, getting things done, and waiting for my MRI for my shoulder. So mostly good, a little bad.
What happened to your shoulder again?
So
what did you do?
I think it's more of an overuse injury, but I burst my bursa sac on that shoulder a few years ago, and I've been trying to do heavier lifts on shoulder exercises, and it just felt kind of off and started hurting. And I'm thinking it's an impingement, but they don't know because they looked at the X-ray, didn't see anything out of the ordinary. So I'm getting an MRI to see where that pain's coming from.
Ooh, that's not good. Well, I hope that MRI comes in soon, but I'll also keep it up with my silly goose vibes. Think the whole gymnast, because every time you lifted something, you lifted those huge weights, you would just be like,
really? Is that what I look like? You didn't see me lift. No,
I did. The whole gym saw you lift.
Bruh, no one saw me lift.
You would be
I
like,
was doing my own thing.
And then you'd be like falling out of your chair. It was really funny.
Falling out my chair? Now you just making stuff up. I didn't fall out my chair.
Yeah, you were. Oh, you weren't falling. You were sliding.
Also, I know what you're talking about. By the way, viewers, she's talking about military / shoulder press with dumbbells. I had my back slightly arched, and she said I was falling out my chair. I was not. Everything was in control.
I corrected myself. I said sliding.
Oh my god! But I was grunting. You see, I was grunting.
You were like, I couldn't even replicate it. That's some kind of.
It's more like. Oh, I think it's like that. That's what it's like.
I don't know. It was something aggressive. Something aggressive. Something silly. I don't know.
Well, yeah. Whatever. Anyway, I hurt my shoulder and I wasn't even doing anything. I was just standing there, and then my shoulder like shifted, but it was due to come. Anyway, this episode, right, it's a little late, but we want to talk about LGBTQ plus and
a bunch of ideas around that. It's LGBTQIA plus.
IA plus?
IA, yeah.
But if I say plus, doesn't that include IA as well?
Well, yes, but we're trying to be as inclusive as possible today.
Okay.
Because even though we were going to do this for Pride Month, we were a little late, which we apologize for. But LGBTQIA plus rights and all that good stuff and pride is so important to us, and we support you, We believe that you all matter so much, and yeah, we love you guys. You're so awesome.
Everyone has the right to live their life as they want to.
Yeah.
Wait, are we delaying right now?
Absolutely. I think we're delaying.
Oh,
Zoom problem.
Yep. Don't worry, listeners, because right now it's what, July 10th, a little
Yes.
over a month from now, and we will be back in business in person, recording as normal. So there'll be no more of these delays. But right now, yes, we have
Hopefully.
to deal with like 5-second delays at most sometimes. So
Yeah,
um,
some cute little hiccups here and there.
anyway, LGBTQ plus, in case you didn't know, it stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, transsexual, two spirit, queer, questioning, intersex, asexual, and ally. So those are all of the letters thus far. I'm sure there'll be more added later.
I think
What?
there's more, but I just don't know that they're all included in the little list that we have. So
Oh,
we're sorry
probably
if we're not including you, but we do recognize
pansexual.
you. Yeah,
Yeah.
polysexual, polyamorous. I'm sorry, I don't know. I'm still learning. We're learning. We're trying. It's always a
Wait,
learning
well,
process.
just it's polyamorous isn't part of the thing, I don't think. Is it?
Is it? I think it
I
is.
don't. But
Yeah,
that's
they
just like,
are.
isn't that just being like, heterosexual, but with more than one person?
I think it's either way. You
Or I
can,
guess it's
yeah.
homosexual with any, but how is that different?
Because you're into more than one person, and I think it can be either like heterosexual or like homosexual. I think it could be either. Someone in the comments, let us know, educate us, please. We're still learning. We love you, but we're learning.
We are learning.
Hecky.
Yes.
It's always a learning
Yes.
process, and we're gonna do our best to be as considerate as possible and to be as respectful as possible and to be as awesome as possible, because this is you guys. It was your month, but we are celebrating you beyond your month because you guys are important and you're awesome and we love you. So, yeah.
Yes.
So let us know though, for real, because I think polyamorous can literally be anything. Like you're into not into anyone, but like it can be, you can be like into whoever, but like multiple people at the same time, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. But that every time I hear that, I just think of Mormons and old kings. And I'm like, they were just part of the club too. And I'm like, nah, they're not part of the club. So I don't know. That one's up for debate, but all the other ones are not. So we'll just comment, listeners. We'd love to hear from you. So you can send us
Yeah.
an email, anything else. We'll plug everything in our
At the
Anchor,
end.
in our YouTube, and at the end we'll let you know all the ways you can contact us, because we do love being contacted. But
Yes.
for our first segment, we want to talk about LGBTQ plus animals, and more
Yes.
specifically homosexual and bisexual animals. And we're going to debate a little bit, because
Yeah.
sometimes me and Nicole-Antionette, we have slightly differing opinions. I know that's crazy to think of. We're just,
I know.
one mind, but really,
We got two.
because of our different backgrounds, we got two minds, and sometimes a little bit of clash there. And so we're just going to talk a little bit about our own opinions about LGBTQ plus and animals and how that kind of intersects.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
do you want to start us off, Nicole-Antionette?
Absolutely. I would just like to state that LGBTQIA animals, the alphabet mafia, if you will, they are in animal form. The whole community, they are in animal form. Yes, they are. I have proof. That's right. We got proof in penguin form. We got proof in bat form. And those are the two that I researched. But I'm sure there's more. Comment your favorite gay animal that you know, or LGBTQIA animal that you know.
Okay. You said in all forms, but I have yet to see a questioning animal yet. So
How do you know they're questioning? You don't know that they're questioning. Questioning can be internal. It's an internal thing. It can
animals
be.
aren't
It's a
smart enough to
personal
question.
debate. Hey, you don't know. You don't know. Maybe a dog is questioning. Maybe an elephant is questioning. Elephants are old. Elephants are smart. An elephant might be questioning. I don't know. You don't know. You don't know if
You're
an
right. I
elephant's
don't know.
questioning or not.
I don't know if an
Yeah,
elephant's questioning. You're right.
you're merely a human. You're merely a human.
No, it's funny because I'm just like, whenever I think of an animal, I think they think about like 3 or 4 things. They're like food,
Mm-hmm.
comfort, like shelter, like having babies, and that's pretty
Okay,
much
so
it.
that's more than three. That's more than three. I'll have you
Okay,
know. You
whatever, but
listed four
like,
things.
okay,
They can
fine.
maybe add a fifth to the list.
Having babies, eating, excreting, and staying safe.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that, most animals don't really think too far ahead.
Hey, you don't know. Animals are smarter than you think. Just
Some
watch
are
like
smart.
Animal Planet, like Nat Geo Wild. Not to plug them, we're not sponsored by them, but like if y'all want to sponsor us, go for it. Um,
Yes, please.
I'm
I will
sure.
say whatever you want
I'm
to
sure.
say. I will do a whole series on questioning elephants if you sponsor us.
Yo, I would too, high key.
That'd be if there was actually like that'd be like really cool if there was actually proof of questioning
If we
elephants
could
and
like
stuff.
sit
Yeah.
with elephants and just like study elephants and see and discover if the like the different kinds of like LGBTQIA elephant, like
Mm-hmm.
I would be here for that career. Like forget law. I'm here to study elephants. I love that so much. I think that's so cute. Yeah, but back to the main debate because I firmly believe and I know that there are LGBTQIA animals, right? The first example, penguins. In the Berlin Zoo, there is an adorable gay couple. They're so precious. I love them. If we can plug a photo, because those penguins are so cute. They got together, and then while all the other penguins, were getting it on, they were also getting it on, And then all the other penguins, they were having eggs, and then the little gay penguins, they were confused. So they had thoughts beyond the four-eyed. They were confused. They had confusion in there because they were like, why aren't we having an egg? Where's our baby? They were confused. And then what went on after that is they found a rock that looked like an egg. And then because penguins, when they have an egg, they like waddle with it between their little penguin feet, their little penguin legs. And they like waddle around with it. And so they did that with a rock that looked like an egg. And they were like, yes, this egg is our adopted egg. Or no, this rock is our adopted egg. Yeah. And they were in a committed relationship. Those two penguins. And I don't know what's more adorable than penguins. I mean, there's some things that are cuter than penguins. We've listed cuter animals in previous episodes. But is that not adorable? Does that not warm your heart? That there's a gay couple penguins that are growing old together.
Yes, but there are also penguins that are known to like anime girls and an anime cutout. So
What?
I don't know if their attachment to, another penguin could really be an example of being homosexual, or rather not the fact of being in captivity and within a zoo and a lack of other penguins to socialize with.
No, I disagree. And this has been shown in other animals that are not in captivity. Exhibit B, male bats. Studies have shown. What?
What have they shown? No, I just want you to say what the bats are doing. Go ahead. Tell me what the bats would be doing.
The male bats be getting it on, and they be in committed relationships too. Okay.
No.
Yes.
She's not telling you all the information. This is not
I
a
am.
G podcast. So,
What?
this
A G
podcast
podcast?
this podcast, right? There might be a little bit of interesting scientific facts about sexual reproductive organs in animals. So, if you are
bruh.
if you are above the age of 6, you should be able to handle this. If not, please talk to your parents and ask them for permission.
Yeah,
first.
we'll see if certain folks can continue, but
yes. Anyway,
hey, there are.
let me ask you specifically. I'm sorry. What were
Go ahead.
How did the bats, right? Was there evidence that they actually did have long-lasting relationships, or was it purely incidences of homosexual activity, and what kind of activity was that?
Well, in the study that I looked up, there were there was confirmation of male, genital licking involved in the free living.
I just wanted to say
And
it. Sorry. Okay.
shut up. In bone-in flying foxes, which is a species of bats, where males be getting it on, and they engaged in mutual allo grooming, which I don't know what that means, but that's what that is. And they had other basic social contact and stuff like that. So it sounds like it's possible that they were
Yo,
in
but
relationships,
but okay. But all right, but listen to this. All right, listen to this, listeners.
Uh-huh.
So basically, in your mind, you're having a cute image of two bats upside down next to each other. Their danglings hanging out, and they're just licking each other to a storm, right? And that's basically what Nicole-Antionette's talking about. Sometimes they be getting bored, and they're just like, let's lick up a storm. But let's take some context for that, right? So sociologist Eric Anderson from University of Bath in England, right? He says animals don't do sexual identity, they just do sex. And for that reason, right, animals sometimes do cooperate and perform homosexual activities with each other, but that is only for the social benefit and the bonding that comes along with it, right? Because it's more of the tactile sensation, right? Humans apply sexuality for their identity and many other things, right? It's not simply, oh, what feels good, right? But for animals, that is the case. And so
No,
there are many
as shown
cases
by
where,
Exhibit A, the penguins.
okay, one point, I'll get right to that. But there are many cases
Okay.
where they're doing the sexy time, but they will also go ahead and mate with and have children and raise the children with the opposite partners. But in regards to those penguins, right, there's another thing called captivity effect, where
Ah,
there is a disproportionately higher rate of homosexual activity among all species within captivity, and that could be contributed to having lack of other penguins to be around and chill with. But go ahead.
I think those penguins loved each other, and I don't think you should question their penguin love. Thank you. They're in a committed relationship, I believe, to this day. So, and it's been what since apparent 2019, 20. It's been a couple years. So I believe there's, as far as I'm aware, they're still together. So, mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's yeah. Believe
So
what you want though, because I
also,
believe
right,
it. Yeah.
sorry, I'm sorry, there's like, don't, listeners, don't think that I'm mean and trying to cut her off. There is a delay, right? So
Mm,
but
get off my
sometimes she
ass.
needs to be cut off.
Nuh-uh. He's so mean, bro. No. Well, then go on.
What I was going to say, right? What I was going to say is,
Mm.
because fruit flies are so basic and idiots, right? They have very few genes. They're much easier to study. If you are a biology major, have done anything with biology, you'll see that fruit flies are used very often within genetic research, similar to things like pea plants. But analyzing fruit flies, we did notice that there are genes where males will have unusual attraction to other males. And so we could say there is a genetic aspect of homosexuality, although they're still obviously doing much more research in that. And if that is the case, then I could say that maybe there are homosexual animals. I just think it's really hard to say whether or not an animal is simply temporarily staying with the same sex of their species for some
Getting
type
it
of
on.
survival benefit, right?
Mm.
And that's why I say that at most they are bisexual, because yes, they do, stay with a partner, as in there's some birds that, right, if they can't find a mate, they'll just spend that season with a dude or a woman stay with a woman, and they'll just chill until next season because they want to be safer together. And so they'll stay safer together and then wait and try again to find opposite sex. And I think we can't really call that homosexuality. It's just like, you know, doing what you can for the time being.
Mm. I don't know that it's doing what you can for the time being. I'm convinced by these penguins, first of all. But I actually have never heard about that gene, though. That's actually really cool. I didn't know that. Did you learn that recently, or was that like how did you
So
learn about that? That's really cool, actually.
viewers, in case you don't know, the most of my evidence, besides my own brain, is coming from a Scientific American article by Emily
Cite your
Driscoll called
sources.
Bisexual Species. It was published in
Mm-hmm.
2008, right? And so I'll read you exactly
That's
what they
from a
said.
minute ago. Okay.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm sure there's more information now, but I couldn't find it.
Yeah. Okay.
So
That's fair.
males of male fruit flies that carry the mutant gender blind gene, right, which depressed levels of the protein by about 2/3, were uncharacteristically attracted to the chemical cues exuded by other males. As a result, these mutant males courted and attempted to copulate with other males. The findings suggest that wild fruit flies may be pre-wired for both heterosexual and homosexual behavior. Um, and in terms of the protein they were talking about, there was they're manipulating a gene for a protein they call gender blind, which regulates communication between neurons that secrete and respond to neurotransmitter glutamate. So I don't know exactly what glutamate does, but basically they had less of the neurotransmitter that regulates glutamate. So I guess less glutamate regulation means more likely to chill with the dudes. Right. So listeners, if you
So
know more, tell
interesting.
me.
No, that's so cool. I didn't know that. I wonder if that like how that kind of like goes that information like applies like cross species, like like across other animals outside of fruit flies, and like if any other more recent studies have gone on for that, because that actually sounds really cool. Because I don't know, that
it's
just
really
sounds so
interesting
fascinating.
because like when people think about like homosexuality and or any other LGBTQ plus, right?
Hmm.
Oftentimes the people who, are part of the community, they say that they've been that way since birth, which means before the introduction of puberty, right? And if that's the case, right, then people who are opposers of these things normally say it's due to social factors, right? That's why they're afraid of all this introduction of LGBTQ plus within the larger community, because they're like, well, if more kids see it, more kids are likely to become it. But if there is, incidence at birth, then there must mean that there's some type of genetic factors in there, including possibly, I'm air quoting right now, a gay or LGBTQ plus gene. So
Hmm.
I'm not sure if we'll ever get to doing research in that, but I think that would be interesting to find out.
Definitely. And I think like just to kind of like touch on what you were saying about like how people don't want to expose their kids to the LGBTQ plus community. I think that's so silly because everybody's, I think, in childhood has seen a Disney movie at least once, or some other kind of like cartoon where there's like a heterosexual couple, or there's some like underlying kind of storyline where there's like a normal heterosexual, I'm doing air quotes by the way, like couple, you know? And it's like if no one's afraid to show those couples that are quote unquote typical and quote unquote normal, it's like what's the problem with showing of like the LGBTQ plus community? I don't see a problem with it because it's like we're already showing some kind of like attraction and like relationship and like these kinds of storylines. Everyone I think has heard of like these children's stories where there's like a princess or a prince or whatever, and like That's so typical. So it's like it's no different, at least in my eyes. And I don't believe that there's like that's a valid reason to ever hide or kind of brush aside a whole community and like population of people. It's just so ridiculous to me.
Yes, I think um, it is ridiculous as well. I think parents, and as I mentioned, they're afraid. I mean, obviously, kids are very malleable in the way they think, right? And a lot of ideas that are pushed upon children, including, religious ideas and sexual identity ideas, right? Including, gender norms, right? As we know, there have been many studies that show that like children at a very young age can already tell like what a boy's toy is versus a girl's toy, what a boy's color is versus a girl's toy, that and that. And all those
Mhm.
things are like in form of like indoctrination. And I think they're afraid that a young child before the onset of puberty, right, before they have the enough of the gender differentiating hormones, will be like, well, I see, these gay dudes, they're chilling, they get to they just seem so cool and free in this TV show. So I also want to be a part of it. And then later on realize that they're not. But those are all like fears that um are not backed up by any form of evidence at all. So people are
Yeah,
always going to be afraid of something different.
that's so true. But speaking of something different, we're our artist spotlight for today, which is Tadrical. Yay! Little confetti bursts. Todrick is
Boom.
incredible. Yes. I have been a longtime fan of Todrick Hall. He, I think, first got famous when, like, really, of like many, many years ago. Like, I don't even know how many years ago. I should have written a little bio on him, like we did our last artist spotlight, but I don't know how, and I completely forgot. So
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
it's okay. I believe he started off as a rapper though. Um, and now he is also still kind of a rapper, more of like a singer-songwriter though. He's transitioned into that. He's an actor, director, choreographer, and a YouTuber. So he's like hella versed. He's so cool. I think he's incredible. He's part of the LGBTQ plus community, and so we really wanted to highlight him. Um, he um Oh, okay. I found out where he first got famous from. I did a little Google Madoodle. Um, he gained national attention on the ninth season of American Idol because he made it to the semifinals, which is so cool. He is 36 years old right now, which is awesome. And he has quite a few albums out now. I think he also kind of gained a little more traction when he did a song, like a mashup song on The Wizard of Oz with Pentatonics, which was, if you haven't heard that, that's so cool. It's called The Wizard of Oz, like AHHH apostrophe S. And that was so cool, especially the visuals for that music video. I loved it. But one of the more recent songs that he has made that we want to spotlight today is called Nails, Hair, Hips, Heels, which you might know because it was a whole viral TikTok trend where people would dance in quarantine. It started because of quarantine, where people changed the lyrics slightly to be masks, gloves, Sani, and then something else. I don't fully remember. But it was so cute. And then people would put all this glam on their masks and they would dress up all fabulous with these like big boas at home, dancing, looking fabulous. That's something big about Tadrick Hall. He's always looking fabulous in my eyes, at least. Um, but yeah, so
Yeah.
Dylan,
So I will share a quick clip of that. So real quick question. Do you want to just
yeah,
play the audio or do you want to play the music video as well?
let's play the music video.
All right.
Let's
So
do it. I
give
think
me
we're
just one
allowed to,
second.
right? Is that
Well, we'll see. I remember last time we did an artist spotlight and we were flagged for copyright, but they all did was add advertisements on our YouTube video. So we should be fine for this as well.
okay?
Is there a certain segment of the video you want to play, or just like the first little while? What do you want to do?
Let's do the first little while, the first like minute or so. Yeah. And then
Okay.
his most recent kind of big album is called Feminine, which I think is so great. So if you want to take it away,
We'll
or
take
let
it
me know
away.
when you're going to take it away. Okay.
And I will share my sound optimized for video clip.
Yeah.
All right. So you should
And
be
if you're
able to see
not
that.
listening on YouTube, you should watch the videos so that you can watch this and react to this fabulousness with us.
All right, here we go.
Tell me what you think after. Ooh.
Nails, hair, hips, heels, ass, fat, lips, real, purse, full, big bills, bitch, I'm a big deal. Legs, face, eyes, thin waist, thick thighs. You, me, you, wish, new phone, who, this, pussy, puss, give 'em cunt, bitch. Mama, yes, God, then you pop that tongue, bitch. This whole club is my runway, run, bitch. Y'all 5, 4, 3, 2s, I'm a one, bitch. Girl, what did that girl just say, girl? Girl, I don't dance, I work. I don't play, I slay. I don't walk, I strut, and then sashay. But I don't work for free. That's not the tea, hunty. So make it rain on me, and I might let you see. What you gonna let them see? My nails, hair, hips, heels, nails, hair, hips, heels, nails, hair, hips, heels, nails, hair, hips, heels.
My nails, hair, hips, heels, nails, hair, hips, heels, nails, hair, hips, heels, nails, hair, hips, heels.
Head, shoulders, knees, toes, don't know these hoes. Face, lips, eyes, nose, camera, click, we pose. Beat, mug, limp, wrist, VIP, list, wave.
Okay, I was having too much fun. I realized I probably played it longer than I should.
A minute and a half about. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's a fabulous song. I love it. Oh, it makes me so happy. And like, if you're not watching on YouTube and you didn't react to that with us, the visuals are fantastic. And the dancing, can we
It
just
is.
appreciate the dance? Like, that is art to me. Even though it's like such a simple background where it's kind of like, it looks like a garage, like a storage garage or something like that. I don't know what it looks like. Like they still managed to make like such a presence of themselves, the dancers, like the choreography. And I think it's like, I don't know, I think it's just like such a powerful song that they just like look, like they just, I love how like Todrick's still like, even though he's literally in a crowd of people and he's like obviously in front, he just commands like the audience that there is no audience because it's a YouTube video. But I don't know, he's just so cool, and I love his artistry and like his like oomph that he's got. And obviously he's got probably better songs out there, but that's one of my favorite songs, especially because of like quarantine, like the quarantine TikTok trend. I think it's the most notable one. So yeah, if you know about Todrick Hall and you fangirl with us, let us know, because he great. What were your reactions, Dylan?
So we did listen to part of the song before. I didn't know anything about Todrick Hall. I just thought, hey, this song is fun, and you can hear in his voice his confidence. And it's like, at least the song for me just tells the listener that, like, you can be you and you can be confident and you can be cool and bad as you are. And I was watching the video, I was like, this dude like knows how to dance. Like you can tell that his movements are fluid. He was on it, and yes, he had a commanding presence in the front, right? And
he did.
Yeah, I could just tell he was no amateur. But also I noticed like all those people in there were guys, and they knew how to work those heels, and they were strutting really well.
Oh yeah,
so yeah,
they were dancing.
Yeah.
And later on in the video, I'm pretty sure they do some other crazy dance moves. So you'll have to check it out on your own. And it's like I know myself, and I know I've been wearing heels my whole life, but dang, I couldn't do that if I
Mhm.
tried, maybe, but I don't know. I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
In case you couldn't tell, I love
See,
Dr. Call.
that was
He's
that was great.
fantastic.
All right. So our
Mhm.
next artist spotlight isn't really an artist per se. He is, I guess, a social media influencer and public speaker. His his online name is Pink Manta Ray. And his real name, can you pronounce that?
Skylar Baylor.
Skylar. I was definitely going to get that wrong.
She,
I'm glad you got that.
okay. If I'm pronouncing it wrong, guys, in the
Yeah.
comments, let us know, please. Somewhere.
But he was the first transgender D1 athlete. He was a swimmer at Harvard. And I say he because he transitioned from female to male. And he's been has had a really large impact on the transgender community specifically, and talking about, what you do when your child says that they're trans and how you respond to that and support them as an ally. So again, even if you are not a part of the LGBTQ plus community, neither of us, either of the two hosts here are, it's about understanding how to be an ally, right? And I think that's a really good resource for people to go to, and also inspiration if you are trans yourself.
Absolutely. I think it's so important that especially the trans community, because lately in the news, I don't know if you've been keeping up, the trans community has been so attacked through legislation in the government, especially on more the Republican kind of party and stuff like that. And
Oh,
I believe that's just ridiculous. And I just think that it's so important that the community, the younger folks of the trans community especially, have folks to look up to. And and I just think it's so important. And I don't know. I don't know. I'm just the kind of person that I would hate for anyone to ever feel hurt or excluded just because of their identity. And for something so simple as either sexual preference or um how they identify in gender, you know it's just I think that's just so surface level of something to discriminate for. So yeah, that's just my thoughts on it.
it really is. We're going to talk more about the legislation in a second, but yes, there
Mhm.
has been. I said boo because I'm very biased against the GOP. That doesn't mean you can't uh, feel like there needs to be fiscal responsibility and a tight control on governmental spending, right? I just feel like now with the kind of identity politics that there are within America, because we have a two-party system that is breaking apart as we speak,
Very.
really it's become more of, Republican identity is no longer something that I could personally identify with. It never really has been, economically speaking, I'm not really that, but it's become to the point where the identity of the Republican Party is against any form of diversity, including LGBTQ plus. So that is why I'm kind of against it. But listeners, if you have a different opinion, always feel free to shout us out. But that's just the way it is. And their legislation right now is they're attacking transgender people again out of fear, similar to the way they did to immigrants and immigration policies before. It's always fear tactics, and CRT, which we will talk about in a later podcast. So yeah, that's why I said boo. If you want me to talk more about why I think the GOP has gone too far, let us know, and maybe that'll be a new podcast. But yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so our next segment, beautiful flags. Woo-hoo! So I'm just gonna name a couple of the awesome LGBTQIA flags. Ooh, my computer's running out of battery. Give me a second to plug her in. Okay, we're cool. Sorry, y'all. That's cute little detour, more Zoom things. Okay, so if you didn't know, there are more than one flag. Well, there is more than one flag to represent the LGBTQIA plus community. Oh my gosh, words are hard. And each one has its own awesome meaning. I'm just gonna name a few of them. So it's just gonna be random. No discrimination or anything whatsoever. I'm not gonna go too far into explaining them, but that's what's up. So the first flag was made in 1978. That's a hot minute ago. By, sorry, my nose is itchy. Gilbert Baker. And that is the Gilbert Baker Pride flag. And it's the one with the cute pink little stripe. It's like the rainbow flag, but it's a cute little pink stripe with it. It's pretty awesome. The next flag is the 1978 to 1999 Pride flag. And it's a little different than the Gilbert flag. It has no pink, which is a little sad, but you know, it's okay. And then the next one is the most widely known flag that we know of now, the Rainbow Pride flag, which is the one you see everywhere on social media, on some companies, and etc. And then there is the Queer People of Color flag, which no one actually knows the origins of this flag, but which is kind of crazy to me. But it's kind of like in solidarity with the BLM movement and the intersection of both the Black and the queer communities. And it kind of got a little more notoriety, I believe, last year, which is so cool. And then there's the awesome bisexual flag. And it's just 3 colors. It is, I believe, purple, like violet-ish, and blue, which is awesome sauce. It's to more specifically represent the bisexual group, kind of like letter of LGBTQIA. There is the pansexual flag. And it's Claire who created this one, but it started showing up online in 2010. And so that's for people who are attracted to all genders, which is fabulous. So those are the few flags that I wanted to point out today. Dylan, any comments on those lovely flags?
So while you were talking, right, because I didn't know much about the flags, I did a little bit of Googling, and I saw many of the lists of flags. Many of them are, lots of colors and stripes, right? That's pretty much most of the flags, colorful stripes. And I love colorful stripes. And then I came across something called the straight flag. And I'm like, wow, I could have my straight flag and cheer with them in the parades and everything else and show my support. The answer is no. No, that's a horrible idea. Do not have a straight flag.
I was about to say, that sounds a little questionable.
Yeah, it is a counter protest movement. Which are normally things that I really do not appreciate, right? Protests are generally supposed to bring about greater change in society, and counter protests are the opposite. And the straight flag is a counter protest movement. And if you wear the straight flag, that means that you are anti-LGBTQ plus rights. It's not saying that you're proud of who you are, even though being, straight is most common in human history, right? I don't think you need to be supporting yourself when there's so much support for it. So just a little note there. And it is black and white. It looks like a jail symbol, so
Ew.
It's not even cool either. So yeah, that's my take.
LGBTQIA flags are so beautiful, so colorful, so fabulous. I don't even understand why anyone would be against it. So tongue out to anyone who's against it. Sorry, not sorry,
So on to our next thing. We're going to talk about um, really how larger America, as we know, is controlled by, the multi-billion-dollar corporations, which, that's up for debate. I don't think it really is, but either way, those multi-billion-dollar organizations, many of them have outwardly supported LGBTQ plus people with, their advertisements, marketing campaigns, but then also donated to politicians who are actively fighting against LGBTQ plus rights. This is from the human. Yeah, go ahead.
We do not stand. Boo.
Yeah,
Liars, fakers.
Exactly. The Human Rights Campaign organization is an organization that fights specifically for LGBTQ plus rights, as it is a human right to express yourself as you wish. And yeah, that kind of, double-facedness is called queer baiting. And basically, when it comes down to it, they're playing both sides of the game because they want everyone's money. But we're going to provide you with some numbers just so you know that this stuff is not made up. Obviously, these numbers are not most up to date as they were given in 2019, but they give you a picture of kind of what's going on here. So Nicole-Antionette, would you like to give us some of those numbers?
Totes my goats. So the first one that popped out to me was Home Depot, surprisingly. I just don't like, I never saw any Home Depot stuff, but if you did, go off, I guess. So the amount that Home Depot donated to federal lawmakers with a 0 HRC score. What's that, Dylan?
Okay, so the HRC score is how open those legislators are or against for LGBTQ plus rights. So a 0 is where basically you're fighting as hard as you possibly can and voting against all legislation that supports their rights and for all legislation that opposes their rights. And then 100 would mean that you're actively going and giving them as many rights as possible, doing everything you can, right? So
doing the most, which we love.
Doing the most. You're probably, most politicians, because they like having their jobs, probably won't be at 100, but at least being over 50 would be preferable. So a 0 is really bad, and Home Depot knows what it's doing.
Not impressive.
So yeah.
Okay. I get that now. I think everybody else gets that a little more now. So the amount they donated to those types of politicians and federal lawmakers is 800,000 words. 836,500. Did I say that right? Oh my god.
So in case you didn't know, Nicole-Antionette is a poli-sci major, not a STEM major. So
never been good at numbers. Okay.
All right. But yeah, it's a big number. Obviously, Home Depot makes more money than that. But like still though, Amazon and Google, right? Those are big companies. They donated $400,000, more than $400,000 each. Google $483,500, and then Amazon $459,000. So these are also donations again that are strictly for politicians that are completely against LGBTQ plus rights. And as you know, I'm sure Google and Amazon have probably said something about supporting LGBTQ plus rights. I'm sure Google has had like their pride flag symbol at some sort, but
yeah, I remember they had the little sketches and stuff, and then I remember Amazon on the little banner, they had also the little pride flags, so we throwing shade at them.
Now
that's right.
I will say these numbers are relatively small, but they're not insignificant. All right, let's make that clear, right? I'm pretty sure they were thinking more about other policies, but I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt, but still, $400,000 can buy a lot of people off, including people in the House of Representatives. So that is big. And these are just small. There's a long list, right? The total number is $10,524,710 for the donations given to lawmakers who are completely against LGBTQ plus people. And this is in 1 year, right? So you best believe that it has made waves.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So
Definitely.
we see the two-facedness. We're not sheep.
Yeah. We're too expensive for cheapness up in here.
Yeah.
And also another thing that I know a lot of the LGBTQIA plus community has like mentioned is that even when companies do make these like pride campaigns and advertisements during Pride Month, like it's not enough, because then they're doing all that stuff during that single month, and then the rest of the year they won't even speak out a peep. And it's just kind of pathetic, because it's like, you're not doing a lot, bro, if you're just profiting off of the coolness or the hipness and the trendiness. And honestly, like, you're just profiting off of this beautiful, awesome, and like pure community. And it's just so wrong, because like, if you're not walking the full mile to really truly be supportive, it's like, what are you doing, bro? You know?
And that is why I hate month celebrations like Pride Month, African American History Month, Native Peoples Month. Like the fact that they like
month.
1 month is enough is annoying.
It's not. Huh? It's not enough, but also I'm kind of like, it's a double-edged sword to have a month, you know? Because like on the one hand, you get your month, and it's nice to have that month that kind of spotlight the whole culture, whatever that culture may be, whether it's Pride, Black History Month, Hispanic History Month, Indigenous History Month, whatever. Like, it's nice to have that kind of spotlight, because it's kind of like, almost in my eyes, it's kind of like having a birthday, and it's like, oh, it's my birth week, you know? But on the other end, it's like kind of what you were saying of like, it's not enough to just be a month, because we should be celebrating it. And I think those months are to sort of inspire people to speak out and support the different groups, specifically what we're talking about now, Pride, throughout the whole year, you know, and not just talk about the community and what their struggles are just once on it, which is, you know, I think what we hope to do a little bit, as much as we can, obviously. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, on to the next topic. We're going to talk about specifically trans and non-binary rights have been on the attack or been attacked recently, and we want to talk about some of them. Obviously, as I said before, we have differing opinions on certain pieces, but in general, we support transgender communities and we support LGBTQ plus community, but the transgender community in specifics has been attacked recently, partially due to the Olympics. Nicole-Antionette, would you like to start on more of that?
Definitely. So in the Olympics, there's a lot of debate on obviously like transitional therapies, because of like trans hormones and stuff like that. And like, how do trans folks get an upper leg on specifically trans women? How do they get a leg up on, quote unquote, regular women, which is another quote unquote, because if you're a trans woman, you're just a woman in my eyes. But, you know, if you want to say whatever on your lily pad, go for it, I guess.
Which physicians like myself, a future physician, I'm saying it now, you know, there is a difference, societal difference. No, they should be treated as they wish. Obviously, there is a biological difference. And so some of the legislation, I think there's lots of legislation going across America on banning transgender athletes in women's sports. I think specifically us talking about the NCAA and sometimes also elementary schools and high schools, middle schools, I think that's kind of too far. Like no one cares that, you know, some
No.
high school got this won the state game or this and that. Like I don't think that really matters, right? I think what's important we need to discuss is if there are those physiological advantages, is the research to support it more than simply hearsay? So, so as we were saying, I think it's best that we provide substantial evidence and include more research into transgender people's differences in order to better understand whether or not these laws are actually based on real concerns or whether it's just fear of something different as we discussed before. But do you know that a weightlifter in New Zealand that's caused up that stir about you know, her journey from female to male, male to female, and how she is competing in the Olympics?
I don't. Tell me about it.
Let me look her up real
Tell
quick.
me about her. I'm sorry. I called her in it. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
All right. Her
Sometimes
name
we trip
is
up.
yeah, it's sometimes we trip up.
She.
I've done it, we've all done it. But anyway, her name is Laurel
Yeah.
Hubbard, right?
Call us out
And-
if we ever. Mhm.
Yeah.
Delay.
Delay. It's so tough. Yeah. So Laurel Hubbard is the name of the woman who's competing in the Olympics. She is apparently doing quite well internationally, and she transitioned male to female fairly recently, taking hormone therapy. I believe it's only been a little over 2 years. According to the current laws regarding that, you just need to have hormone therapy and be under a certain level of testosterone and at a certain level of estrogen for 2 years straight, and you're good to go. Now, as I told Nicole-Antionette earlier, part of the reason that this does not entirely take away her competitive advantage is due to the long-lasting impacts that testosterone has on physiological development, and not only that, your workout recovery time throughout his life. I mean, I feel like the argument for these kinds of things will be different and will be different very soon when people begin transitioning earlier and earlier. But this is what is causing a stir, and the GOP is using the fear from this particular instance to attack laws that are completely unrelated to physiology at all and sports. They're attacking the ability for transgender people to have access to student activities, to doctors, and it's just completely been taken out of hand. And I just think it's just an easy like grab that they can get now that we have that news. What do you think?
No, it's true. And I think it's on another level that like I think a lot of people ignore for non-binary folks as well, because of course trans folks are being attacked right now, but non-binary folks are also another like subgroup that are like similar to trans people in that they their rights are under attack constantly, or their pronouns are being disregarded, and it's like it's ridiculous, you know. And there's that same issue I think that intersects for both of them, not within the Olympics but within and it could be within the Olympics as well, because you never know if there's an individual who's talented enough to go to the Olympics and then they're non-binary. Like what happens in that situation? Where are they going to go? I think that the Olympics should become more inclusive in that they make a whole segment for non-binary athletes, because there are non-binary athletes. That's an intersection, and it's an incredible intersection. And I believe that we should be as inclusive as possible. But then there's also that commonality of problems where neither of them can fully access bathrooms, which is just inhumane, you know, because bro, everybody got to pee. Like, Um, and it's so ridiculous because like, bruh, just let people
Yeah.
pee. You know, when you break it down to that, just like give people a room. I think that like everywhere there should be, you know, like those family like Costco bathrooms where it's like no gender
Yes, I love
specified.
those. I
There's
love
male,
those.
female, and then those family ones for whoever the hell wants to use them.
Exactly.
And do your thing,
Exactly.
girl, or bro, like whatever you want, honey.
See, I'm one of those guys that I sometimes I like to pull my pants all the way down when I pee, and I can't do that with just a
TMI.
urinal. You know what I mean?
TMI.
And so it's just one of those things where it's just like, can I be in kindergarten once again? With Costco, everyone wins, not just the transgender people. And those weird times where you're like in a urinal and someone pees right next to you when there's a whole spot over there. Obviously, they're trying to see your dangling. And how do you live with that? Well, if everyone had unisex bathrooms, we'd be good to go. But and specifically, you know, the legislation passed in 2021, right? What I mean passed is that it's actually made it through all laws of, you know, of passing a law. I don't know all the ways laws are passed, but the laws have been passed, which
Bro,
means it's set
I'm
in
just
stone.
a bill. Come on, everybody watch that when we were in school. I don't know if we're gonna get copyrighted for that one.
I'm gonna have to look that up. I'm not poli-sci. Anyway, so
Schoolhouse
there has
Rock.
been 7 anti-trans sports bans across the United States in Arkansas, Alabama, Tennessee, Mississippi, Montana, and West Virginia. As I said, that is, you know, a little more up for debate. But then this is where it gets really tricky, right? They jump on this and they go 4 religious refusal bans: Arkansas, Montana, South Dakota. 2 anti-LGBTQ education bills. What? Tennessee and Montana. 1 anti-trans medical care ban bill in Arkansas. 1 sham hate
That
crime
one's
bill in
insane.
Arkansas. Yeah. Can you tell us more about that one?
Which one?
The anti-trans medical care ban bill.
In Ohio specifically. It might be somewhere else as well. And someone correct me if I'm wrong. There has been legislation passed where doctors can now turn away members of the LGBTQIA community, which is disgusting. That's just disgusting. I'm sorry. If you're a doctor, you can't just be like, oh, it's a waste of money. You can't just be like, I'm gonna serve all these people, and then but you I can't do you. I'm sorry. I don't know. Like, that's so dumb. It makes me so angry. Like,
Yeah.
that's so much money and knowledge just going down the drain if you're not treating someone. And it's worse that it's like a whole community, but it's like you could be saving someone's life, you know? And it's like, I don't understand how anyone can live with themselves if they have the knowledge and the capability and the resources to save someone or help someone who's in pain somehow. And you could just be like, no, you know, like, how do you I don't know how you live with yourself at that point, you know?
I probably think it was 1 or 2 really bigoted physicians that were sued, and then they went to the lawmakers within their state. And by the way, the one I mentioned is in Arkansas, so apparently there's 2 states now. But and they probably just like, hey, I don't like this. And they're just like, well, shoot, if there's just 2 people, there's probably a whole lot of physicians that give a crap about this. And really, it was probably only those 2 people. But therefore, they passed the bill. And now whoever comes around and decides to turn them down can. And I think another thing that's a problem with like our political system in America is oftentimes our bills are not representative of the population of the United States at large, right? And that's why they're trying to do all these like ways, especially in Georgia, even in Texas in some ways, that are trying to make, in Florida too, trying to make it harder for people to vote, because we can have faith in the general population and be optimistic about it. Most people probably aren't bigoted. Most people want transgender people to have benefits, maybe even in Arkansas and Ohio. But the fact that these laws are passed means that someone does care and they're in power. And that's what's scary. But yeah, all those laws nowhere, and no, it doesn't make any sense. It has nothing to do with competitive advantage to anything.
Yeah.
It just has to do with hurting a specific group of people because they don't like him.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think we both got really heated about that, which is crazy. Because
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even crazy. We should be enraged about this because, like, these are people's lives. You know what I mean? And it's like,
Exactly.
I don't know how you can have such a blatant disregard for a whole human. Like, it just boggles my mind. It disgusts me. And it's like, why? Like, I don't even see the purpose behind it. Like, why are you doing that? Like, I don't comprehend.
I don't get it, to be honest. I think, I mean, it's all about fear, but where that fear
Like,
comes from, I do not understand. I don't understand, you know.
Yeah.
But
Like, when it comes to medical stuff, like, I just that's a line that you shouldn't cross, you know?
I feel like though, like I have a strong faith in physicians at large because, you know, I'm an aspiring physician and, you know, understanding like all the training they go through and this and that. I have a great deal of respect for them. I feel like most of them across America have had enough diverse experiences not to have extreme biases. Obviously, there's going to be implicit bias, right? But extreme explicit bias about certain groups of people, I feel like those physicians are few and far between, and they're probably older and will die off soon. So at least that's a benefit, right? The baby boomers are slowly booming away and going into the ground. So we'll be free soon enough. I
Which
tell
sounds a little mean, but it's fine.
No, these baby boomers within law, being freaking 80 something years old, still making bills, still thinking that it's what 1962. We need once they die off, there'll be so much more change.
No,
right?
I kind of agree.
The only baby boomer that I like is Bernie Sanders and my grandparents. But yeah.
Dang. What about my
Anyway,
grandparents, huh? How about that?
Oh, your grandparents are fine too, but you know,
that's right.
Your grandparents, although they're within the same like era, unless they were like born because American soldiers returning from World War II, are they actually baby boomers, even if they're the same age?
I think so, right? Because it's just the whole generation.
I guess so, yeah.
Like there's Gen Z, or that's why each like generation has a name. It was baby boomers. I think there's something between baby boomers and millennials, but then it's millennials, and then there's Gen Z, and then I'm pretty sure there's now Gen X or something like that. There's some
there
symbol,
is.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Something crazy, which is insane. I refuse to believe that anyone was born after 2008.
Wow. Yeah.
No, you know what? 2004. No one was born after 2004.
No, for me, no one was born after 2000.
I was 2001. So
I know, that's why I looked at the camera. That's why I looked at the camera. I'm like,
yeah, even though you should
are
have
you
been this
even
whole time.
birthed?
I am birthed.
For all I know, I could be in a simulation, right? And as soon as 2000
are you Neo from the Matrix? No, you're not.
Basically,
no, you're not. Get out of here. You are not your own man.
By the way, listeners, that's my favorite movie. Matrix is my favorite movie. So, yes, that is that. Anyway, should we talk about? Sorry, the delay, but yeah, it is my favorite movie. It's fantastic. You know, I like dark themes within movies. You know, it has a very dark cyberpunk aesthetic. It has, you know, I'm a very techie kind of guy. It's like based around, you know, a software built by aliens so that they can use our brains to power their own computing. And I just think that idea is amazing. Not only that, the whole concept of a simulation is something that physicists have debated about for quite some time. So obviously it's at least slightly plausible. And like the clothes they wore were freaking awesome. And I want to have a black trench coat and leather pants as well. But
leather pants
that'll come with time. I think that was just Trinity, but still I feel like I could work that too.
Wait, repeat that. Zoom.
Wait. It's because I was talking too fast.
Maybe, I don't know. Zoom's being crazy.
Yeah, screw you, Zoom. But we won't say that if you give us money. We'll be part of your sheep. So
Totally not.
please sponsor us, and we'll
Yeah.
like totally be like, with Zoom you can do this and that, and with Zoom one easy subscription.
Don't
of Zoom.
Don't start. Don't show them. You don't know what you
Wait.
have until you have it.
You know what's funny? What is that like? You know how like there's like a meme about like YouTubers like plugging this like I think Warzone is what it is or something. Like they just randomly start plugging like phone apps, and that's how you know they've made it.
Oh, true. Yeah.
I don't know. That's
But I
just
know
something that's
there's
like,
also like other apps that like they can like you like pay or not pay, but like you sign up to have sub sponsors. Like you sign up to have people sponsor you. I know like for example like the Try Guys and the Try Wives, they have that. And like there's just like a bunch of random companies that they plug for whatever reason because they're signed up to that one company that's like
oh,
an umbrella or something. I
okay.
don't know, something crazy. Anyways, moving on.
So
That was
let's
a
get
tangent.
let's get back to resources for people of LGBTQ plus, because I'm sure there's a lot of stressors that come from your identity, unfortunately, within America and the world, actually. So we want you to be able to access people who are your allies if there's not any around you. So Nicole-Antionette, would you like to start with that?
Absolutely. So the first one for everyone is from the Trevor Project. They have their own hotline for, I believe, everyone, the LGBTQ community, specifically for youth, which is absolutely incredible. I think you can call them, you can chat with them on their website, and you can like call regularly, which is so awesome. And they have like trained counselors and everything. So their Trevor Lifeline is 866-488-7386. And depending on if, like where you are, obviously you can add a 1 to that because that magically makes you be able to access numbers everywhere.
Yeah, I never really understood that, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's the magic number. It's the door that unlocks
it's
everything.
like, don't you hate when you use like those like line phones and you're like, I typed in, it didn't work. Did you press 9 first? Did you press pound star and 1 first? I'm like, what are you talking about? Like,
why?
Yeah,
So useless.
I just always get confused by that. But
Mhm.
there's also there's actually quite a few. I'm happy for them. But there's another hotline, right? The LGBT National Help Center, and their number is 888-843-4564, and it's the Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, and Transgender National Hotline.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then we have 2 more, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we're trying to be inclusive. So the where did it go? Oh my god, I'm sorry. My computer's being
I can say it first. So there's a
go ahead.
transgender suicide hotline.
Woo!
Right?
For us our beautiful trans folks.
Yeah, so bless them. We don't want them to perform suicide. But their number is 877-565-8860. And actually what's interesting is my aunt, one of them, she is a franchisee, and she owns a few Firehouse subs, right? So one of her workers actually is a transgender person. I believe male to female, although he hasn't had any form of therapy. So phenotypically speaking, he does look male, but she's female. Sorry, I keep confusing that up. I know, I'm bad. But she, anyway.
It's okay, we're working on it. We're trying. We're trying.
We're trying so hard, but she has always understood that, her identity was not that of her birthed body, right? And her parents did not allow her to portray herself in the way that she wanted to, until it became the point where they were like, if we don't let her, then she is bound to kill herself, and we don't want that on our hands. And I just feel like it should never get to that point, right? It should never get to that point. But if it is getting to that point, there is a suicide hotline for you, because suicide is never the answer.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then our last lovely number is the gender dysphoria hotline, which is kind of similar to the trans hotline, but it's just if you're specifically going through kind of a similar situation of like you kind of feel uneasy that you're like biological sex and your gender identity isn't quite on the same level, you call this hotline and you can kind of talk it out almost with like either peer support or counselor support. I think you can choose. But their number is 1-800-246-7743.
And actually, something that I forgot to mention earlier, but if you are thinking about transitioning, right, there are many ways to go about it, and many hospitals, and specifically pediatric hospitals, have whole departments that are being created now. It's relatively new, but being created to help you make the right decisions within that transition process, right? And they will work with you and your parents. So if you do feel like that is important to you, just know that those resources are out there, right? This is not something that is just brand new or something that you can be completely isolated on. There are cognitive psychologists, behavioral therapists, there's counselors, there are physicians trained within adolescent medicine, endocrinology, that all have experience with your specific issues. So just know that it's there. Specifically for me, I know that I'm doing an internship within Moore's Pediatric Hospital, and they have a wonderful division that deals with those things. So yeah, it's great that they're starting now to do that. And I think that kind of helps people begin with those decisions, because obviously they're tough and they can be long lasting. And, if you don't start early enough, you won't get the desired outcome that you're looking for. So yeah, just if you have any ideas or any thoughts, or know anyone who's of that age and looking for something, know there's someone out there for you.
Mm-hmm. And we're out there for you too. We love you guys. If you're part of the Alphabet Mafia.
Alphabet Mafia. I never heard of that. Is that new?
Really? I said it earlier. No, sometimes the LGBTQIA community is referred to as the Alphabet Mafia because there's just so many letters to keep track of. So the memes kind of become that, like, oh yeah, they're the Alphabet Mafia. They got a whole set of letters right there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so great. But anyways, if you're part of the Alphabet Mafia, which we say so lovingly, give us an email at official.hearUsOut@gmail.com. Maybe give us a follow on Instagram at official_here_us_out. Or follow us on Twitter at Hear Us Out Podcast. We love you. Your month is over, but we're not done talking about and loving and supporting you. So big hearts, big kisses.
Quick question,
yes.
Nicole-Antionette. This goes to show you part of my ignorance. So I was thinking, isn't queer an umbrella term for like all sexual and gender minorities? Obviously, it might not include intersex and transgender, but couldn't the letters be shortened to like, queer plus or something?
Wait, what? Repeat that. I'm confused on what your question is.
So queer is an umbrella term for any sexual and gender minorities who are not, cisgender and heterosexual. So although that might not, include some like, intersex and transgender or non-binary, right? Couldn't we just call it queer plus or Q plus community, because queer is so inclusive?
I don't think so, because even though, um,
Because
because
that would
like,
mean lesbian, gay,
um,
bisexual would all fall under queer.
not necessarily.
Actually,
So,
transgender would too.
if you are, if you're
Sorry.
lesbian, gay, asexual, transgender, or anything like that, um, you can identify as queer, but you don't necessarily have to. It's kind of like a little bit of um more portion of confusion for me because I don't entirely know the answer. I'm not gonna lie to you, but um, it's as far as I know, and I'm kind of looking at the definition here. It's just orientation or gender identity that's not heterosexual or cisgender.
So
So
that's
it
basically
sounds
everything.
like um a little bit, but I think that it's like I think it's good to be specific for like LGBTQIA because like then it specifies, it's not overgeneralizing, you know what I mean? And
Well, the only reason why I say that is because there are so many ways to be queer. As you said, lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, whatever. But
mhm,
as the acronym gets longer and longer, right? And you want to have like a short way to like be like LGBTQ plus, right? What you're doing is you're putting more emphasis on the letters that you say, and then plus, could include whatever. And it's almost like you're not being inclusive because you're excluding those other many different letters. And so if you say queer plus, then you could specify like I'm queer and I'm lesbian, and I'm this is just a new idea that I randomly thought of. So, don't at me, but I was
mhm.
just thinking about that. Like if you want to keep adding letters, why not just say queer plus and then specify later?
Because I don't think everyone identifies as queer necessarily. I think it's up to personal preference.
But they are queer.
But what if they're not?
But literally, queer means
Just because
everything, though.
it can mean everything, but I think you have to identify as queer. And
Oh, then I'm
like,
confused. I don't get it.
yeah, like I know I have friends who identify as queer, but they don't necessarily identify as like lesbian, gay, trans, asexual, or anything like that. But then I know other friends who do identify as like lesbian or trans, and they also identify as queer. So I think it's like it's an added
Oh,
thing, and it's kind of separate, even though it's still in like queer is still in the kind of pot, if that makes sense.
yeah.
I think. I
So,
hope.
yeah, listeners, if you could help me understand what exactly queer means, because if you're queer by
Let me
itself
explain.
without
Yeah.
anything else, then I'd be like totally confused. So, and if you want to be on the podcast and let us interview you so you can better explain some of these ideas, please,
Please
please,
let
please,
us
please
know.
contact us. We're so
Yes.
lonely.
We're not lonely.
We're lonely. We need talk conversation with our listeners so that we can feel happier about it. It's been tough, you know.
Bruh. You
It's
so
been tough.
dramatic. You dramatic bean. Oh
I
my
mean,
gosh.
we see y'all in Germany, Texas, Maryland, California, but we want to hear y'all.
California.
Yeah, we want to hear y'all. Oklahoma too. But yeah, we want to hear y'all. So wherever y'all are,
Massachusetts.
Massachusetts, yeah, plug them all. But yeah,
Mhm.
follow us on Instagram at official_here_out. Follow us on Twitter at here space us space out podcast. We are there
Mhm.
and ready for you. And again, if you have specific details that you'd like to mention, even in privacy, give it at official.hearUsout@gmail.com.
Actually, quick correction. So sorry. I remembered I changed the Instagram username to DNA Hear Us Out Pod. So it's a little easier than the mouthful we had before.
Oh, well, also, if
Yes.
you're looking for us on Spotify, DNA's Hear Us Out podcast is a great way to find us. We have a cute little logo that Nicole-Antionette came up with. It's like it's a hot air balloon with DNA's Hear Us Out podcast, and then it has, the mics because we're talking, it's two of us, and it's lifting up a rock
Yeah.
because we're lifting up hard and heavy concepts into a brighter and happier tomorrow.
Woo, yes.
Ooh, yeah.
Okay.
So
Wow.
that's it, guys. Thank you for listening. We
Yes.
really do like making this podcast. So yeah, thank you for listening, and we'll catch you next time.
Peace out, Girl Scouts and Boy
Peace out.
Scouts and non-binary Scouts.